Hey everybody, and welcome to another Ask the Hub. Today I'm joined by Andrei, who is the CEO of UPDIVISION. Andrei, welcome.
Hello, and thank you, Anesh. I'm looking forward to answer all your questions about software development and outsourcing.
Let's jump right into it. The people who are the most interested to build software products, non-technical founders. Non-technical founders who are looking to build an MVP have limited resources, they have limited time, they have limited money. So they want to get into the development process as soon as possible, right? And they will figure out the specs, they will figure out the features, everything during the development process. What is the advice to such a founder?
At UpDivision, we are working with founders for more than 12 years. So we've seen our share of founders wanting to just jump in and finish the product as soon as possible. And most of the time, to be honest, these attempts lead to failure because I think at the beginning, the most crucial parts in development is the planning part. And it might sound fancy like product discovery, but it's actually really crucial. And the thing is, doing product discovery, it's really like it has two components. So you need to do the UI design to pick the most important screens and know exactly how the MVP will look like and function like, and then write some user stories. So you make sure you have covered all the corner cases, and then you can plan development. You can prioritize those user stories. You can add technical subtasks to them, and estimate the effort. If you are doing this while you are developing the products, you have a lot of wasted time and resources and frustration, and the code base can suffer because you will change your mind mid development, and that will lead to a lot of technical debt. So yeah, the advice is don't do it. Spend a couple of weeks, 1, 2, 3, if your product is really big, on figuring out exactly what you want from the MVP, do user stories, do UI design, and then start the work.
Perfect. So the advice is don't do it at all.
Yes.
And then, yeah, makes sense. Um, so, yeah, in terms of developing the product, then, what do you think are the three key things that, founders need to keep in mind in terms of an MVP or a software product?
So the first thing, and I've seen this in action many times, is like don't do too much. So founders have these nasty habits that to crowd as many features as possible within the first launch. You know, when the first iPhone launched, they didn't even have a search for the address book, so you weren't able to search your contacts, and it worked just fine because they had a lot of iteration and a lot of iPhones to launch. So try to do it as minimal as possible. Identify the pain points of your users and build the minimal features for that. So this is one. Don't do too much. Second, don't underestimate project planning and UI design. As I said before, do UI design at the beginning. Know how your app will look like. If you can test that design a bit with some of your users, and then do development. And third, once you start the development, don't interrupt the developers once the MVP is done. So you've done your homework, you've done UI design, you've done the product discovery, then let the developers finish their job, and then get feedback from the users, and then reiterate. So yeah, those are the things.
Yeah, that 4 years almost reminded me of Cyberpunk, which took so long to build, and then after that, no one was pretty much happy with the game. So
Yeah.
crazy. Uh, so one of the things is, you said you need to launch quickly, and sometimes what happens with founders when they're launching quickly is they've come through that, let's say, 4-year timeline, and they still feel that their MVP is an MVP, or their product is an MVP, and it's not really got out of the stage of being the first version of their product. What do you give such founders an advice? Because they need to essentially come up with a new product without having any downtime, and at the same time they need to be able to test out features. So what's the advice to such founders?
We are working with many established or successful MVPs, and yeah, we see this need a lot of times. So you're on the market for a couple of years, you have clients, and your product is selling, but it doesn't look that good. You have problems with some of the flows, some of the users are complaining, you have a long list of features that are requested by your clients, and yeah, you feel the pressure and to do the app, to have a new one. And at the same time, you have more funds, you have more money than at the beginning, because you have paying clients, and you decided that you need to step up your game. So a mistake that can happen here is to try to redo the platform from scratch, like to like wipe all the effort that you've put in the platform and do it from scratch. And that's a mistake, and we've seen that several times with companies that spend more than 1 year in trying to redo the app. And if you spend 1 year in doing the new app, the old app will not stay will not freeze, because people will want new features on that, and you end up with two separate code bases. So the best approach is to do kind of a rediscovery process, find the most important features that need to be implemented now, and then have do gradual improvements, constant focus on some parts of the app, change the design a bit, change the flows a bit, but nothing major. So you work on the same code base, and you can do at the same time bug fixes and new features implementation, and at the same time change some of the flows. So yeah, that's it. In any case, don't try to do a completely V2 and rewrite the entire code base.
Yeah, that makes sense. And sometimes, one of the things that people also do, or companies also do, is that when they are trying to solve these problems, they're looking to outsource a part of the development the development process. So what would you say are some of the upsides and downsides and of outsourcing the development team, or outsourcing even a part of their product to be developed elsewhere?
I think it's very linked to the company core business. So there are kind of two typologies of companies. So we have company that the core business is not selling a software product, a SaaS product. So for example, I don't know, maybe they are selling, they have stores and they're selling cosmetics, let's say. So for them, it doesn't make too much sense to invest in an internal IT department. Because it's really hard to find good developers and keep them engaged, and also it's hard for you as a company that doesn't do software as a core business to make sure the people are motivated and the code base is really good. So at some point we had a client that had 2 developers in-house, and they left, and nobody knew the product anymore. So they had an e-commerce, so nobody knew what they did there, and they were forced to do everything from scratch. So if you're this kind of company, find a good outsourcing company that is big enough to give you great developers, and make sure there's a handover process to another agency if that's the case at some point. But if you're a company that your core business is to develop a product, then it makes sense to have most of the development in-house. And if you start just starting, have a technical co-founder that it's internal, and then if you don't have enough budget, hire an outsourcing company, and then have a plan to to do handover to and be able to hire internal developers and have a process for that. So we've done that with several companies, like build the MVP and then help them hire people internally and then maybe help them with the device and some parts of the app like the front end, but the core like stayed in house. So yeah, that kind of the I don't know, the advice and the pros and cons of doing outsourcing. It depends on the company.
But let's say if I already have an in-house development team, so I've kind of fallen under the second category, and I want to get some additional manpower to, let's say, speed up the process, or even take up, ask the outsource team to take up specific features. How can I make sure that the software development team I'm engaging is the best match?
I think if you already have an established development team in-house, it will be kind of easy for you to check the technical knowledge of a person. So yeah, first of all, make sure you are talking and interviewing the people that are going to join your team and make sure they're technical fit. But what's most important, they need to look like your ideal employee, let's say. So they need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to join your team, to be part of dailies. You have to onboard them on your communication tools, like in Slack, for example. So be more interested to have a great cultural fit than anything else.
So I think we've got some really good information for product discovery, product development, and even MVPs. Thanks so much, Andrei, for sharing your valuable time and a lot of great information with us today.
It was my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to any other questions that our listeners might have. So feel free to write any questions or comments. Any feedback is welcome. And I'm glad I was able to do this interview, Anish.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And yes, people, if you all have any questions, let us know, and me and Andrei will try and reply to you as soon as possible. And I will see you all in the next Ask the Hub. Thank you.